Hello everyone and welcome to the Chamber of Commerce Election Viewpoints series. I'm here with Adam Crookes and he is here as a council candidate for this year's upcoming election, and he is going to share with us some of his answers to the questions that we've been asking to all the candidates that have been willing to come in and talk to us, mostly around business and how business can be successful in Steinbach. So Adam, thanks so much for being here today.
Appreciate it.
And I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Awesome. Sure.
So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the topic of economic development. It's something that in the chamber world we've been hearing about a lot. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a hot topic. So when you think of that topic, economic development in the city of Steinbach, what do you think a good strategy would be for the city to implement?
So if I would back up a little bit, I would say, so for me in my business, if I look at where my business has changed over the last 10 to 15 years and, taking ownership and buying it and then, taking things up a level. First of all, the internet has made the world very, very different. Mm-hmm. And so in my business, if I look at where we do business, in town and how much of our business comes from Steinbach, 20% of our business is from out of town.
Okay.
And so as a business, we're always looking for ways to make it more appealing for people to come to town. And, why do they come to Steinbach, right? If we look at the history of, the automobile city, and I think the automobile city board there, they've realized that they need to, get back to promoting that like it used to be back in the 80s and 90s, right? You heard it all the time. It's worth the trip. And people in my business use that term all the time. It's worth the trip to Steinbach. And so now, in the 90s, we had 10 different auto manufacturers here. Now we only have 6. And so it's to build on, how does that look? How do we separate Steinbach from the rest of the world? And I think it's service. From a business standpoint, if we give good service and we take care of our customers, then the internet, again, because it's made the world so small, that can spread and be a positive thing, right? From a chamber standpoint and from a city standpoint, if we look at Manitoba, we're one of only, I think, 5 jurisdictions left that doesn't have an economic development officer. It's time.
Right.
That would be something on the radar for me, that it's time that we have somebody that's looking big picture. And not now, 5-10 years down the road, right? What does that look like? What can we add to value to get businesses to come here? What, there's other businesses, and I think we do really well in Steinbach with the, 30 employees and under, right? But we have, the Safeway building that's owned by Sobeys sitting empty, and the Mid-Canada building sitting empty. What business can we entice to come in there, and what does that look like for them? Is it, development or taxes? And so that's... And I think if we had that person in place that does this day in and day out and can focus on it, that's when we can take it to the next level, right? And so that is really, I think, where our mindset needs to go. Yeah. That's on the radar for me anyways, as far as that goes.
Sure. Yeah. So taking to the next question then, whether it's new businesses coming in or established businesses already here, there's always challenges in running a business, right? So what would you say is one of the challenges that Steinbach businesses face right now, and how can the City Council help with those challenges?
So for me, it's employees. So if I look at my dealership and the business that I run, it's to find people that are engaged in what I'm doing and engaged in the services that we're trying to provide, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's working with different organizations. And if I look at the chamber, and you had that luncheon the other day about joining Toastmasters and that kind of stuff, and it's always about getting our employees to keep adding education into their cycle and that sort of thing. So it's definitely getting people trained in the field that they need to be. By far, that's the biggest stretch. And it's interesting, right? I'm on number 12 highway, and so that 7 o'clock in the morning rush hour, I see all these vehicles heading out of town to go to jobs, and yet I almost see the same amount of drivers coming into town. Right, the number 1 highway, if you look at it, it's the 4-lane is packed both ways, and that's an interesting thing to me, is how can people from Winnipeg come to Steinbach? So that's kind of cool. We need to look at what is the draw for them, and vice versa, right? So it's definitely the employee side of things to get businesses up to par on that.
Sure. And council can help with that, you feel?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the chamber can too.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Good. So there's also a lot of strengths that we have in Steinbach for being a city, for running a business. You run a business here. So what are 2 of those strengths that Steinbach has to be competitive in the business world, and how can city make sure that we're leveraging that?
So right off the pop, to me, is I think Steinbach is perceived as a safe community, and I think I know that we're a little bit special. So what I mean by that is that about 6 weeks ago, I had a couple come into my dealership, and during conversation, it came up they had just moved here from BC. And so I instantly caught on to that because BC is beautiful. What would bring you to Steinbach? And they literally said that they had friends that had moved here from BC as well about 2 years ago, and they were literally told you need to come raise your family in Steinbach. That's huge. That is the foundation, I think, of what makes us special. We are a unique community. I think being on the fire department, you can see things change. And 20 years ago there wasn't much traffic when we went to a fire call at 2 o'clock in the morning, and now there was. Now you had to stop at stoplights, right? So yeah, Steinbach has transitioned and all of that, but we are a real safe community. Even back to the first question, we've done a good job, right? There was 252 dwellings pulled last year, right? $56 million in building permits. That's huge. We do a lot of things very, very well. Sure. We just need to build on that and just take it to the next level to keep up with the times, to keep up with social media and the internet and how that's changed the world. It's so easy for people to click and buy online, so you got to do something special to get them into your door, right?
Yeah.
And so we're blessed to live in this community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you do make it onto council terms are 4 years.
Right.
Maybe you'd be a councillor for many, many more years than that, but it is broken up into those 4-year stretches. So how would you, what do you envision for what Steinbach could be in 4 years compared to what it's like now?
So the big thing, and that I'm hearing going door to door, is the multiplex, obviously. I think people have grown a bit tired of the 8 years of fumbling the ball a little bit, changing plans, not being real certain with where this is headed. And so that's been one thing that's been a real eye-opener going door to door, is it's literally mentioned by every other household that I go to where they answer the door. And even people that I would think wouldn't even care, that maybe don't from the arena side of it, have kids playing hockey anymore, but people are almost to the point where they want some closure in that. And so in my business, I've learned to be a good, communicator and get, kind of the people around me to work together. And so I see myself as being very involved in that. We obviously have to get creative with coming up with the funding, but people want closure on that, right? People look and they see that we've spent $1.5 million buying properties downtown to, have this facility, and yet, almost everybody says it shouldn't be downtown, right? So helping fill in those blanks a little bit, and we need to get it going. We need to, it's only getting more and more expensive every year. And so even from where we started 8 years ago to now, it's, probably gone up 50-60% in price. And so people want to get this happening and there seems to be a bit of a disconnect, right? You drive down Main Street and we have probably one of the prettiest main streets in Steinbach, right? We have pretty flowers and we have, the different emblems on the street lights, and then you see the arena and some of the other facilities, and it's just not up to par, right? It's not what people expect when they come to Steinbach, because they know where we're coming from, right? So we need to get that kind of happening, and we need to we also need to be smart, obviously, right? If we look at the garbage dump, right? Who wants to talk about a garbage dump? But 14 to 15 years from now, they're talking that we have to be into a new one. Obviously, start planning now, because that's going to be $20 to $25 million just to decommission that. That's a huge number.
Yeah.
That's the kind of number we should be talking about on a multiplex, right? And so it's funny how that doesn't come up too much, but it really should, because that's a huge expense coming up. So, over the next 4 years, I think we have a lot of work to do.
Okay. So we talked about a lot of different business things and a little bit of vision, but is there anything else that you want to say in regards to your campaign, your platform, to the people that might be watching here today?
Yeah, for me, my history is I, grew up in a single home, and, I was given opportunity in this community that maybe in some other communities I wouldn't have been given. There was always, different people that stepped in to teach me along the way, whether it was a boss or, somebody from church that would, help, guide me a little bit. And so Steinbach, we are, that saying, the land of milk and honey. We literally have amazing opportunities here if you work hard. And so I want to continue to build on that. I learned so much in the fire department, and I enjoyed serving the community then. Getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning wasn't always fun. But that's the reality. This is the next step for me, I feel, in my journey to give back to the community that gave my family so much. My mom raised 5 kids here, and it's amazing how we were blessed as a family. And so that's my big thing, is to help build on the council that we have, and get some new blood in there, and to just to get some of these jobs done that need to get done, and to do it with integrity, and to build on our foundation that we have.
Well, thanks so much for sharing with us here today.
Appreciate it.
And for those of you watching, I encourage you to check out the other videos as well that are going to be posted from some of the other candidates and hear what they all have to say. And then everyone who's watching, go out and vote on election day. So Adam, thanks so much for being here today and sharing your thoughts, and all the best.
Appreciate it.